For the next few seconds, you'll hear nothing but the sounds of a farmer walking through a field of oats. These sounds are brought to you by Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse Bread. You see, life on a farm moves at its own pace because everything we're doing takes time. That's why our bakers slow bake our farmhouse oatmeal bread with thoughtful care, so our famous farmhouse taste is baked into every slice. Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse Oatmeal Bread. Slow is good.
Blog Talk Radio.
You know what time it is? Time to hang out with Mr. Coop. With Mr. Coop, with Mr. Coop, with Mr. Coop. Get the latest scoop. From Mr. Coop, from Mr. Coop, from Mr. Coop. Hang with Mr. Coop. With Mr. Coop, with Mr. Coop, with Mr. Coop. Get the latest scoop. From Mr. Coop, from Mr. Coop.
Welcome to the Big Scoop with Coop. I'm your host, Coop. Season 3 still going strong, guys. Make sure you tell all your family, your friends to tune in right now to blogtalkradio.com/The Big Scoop with Coop. Also, make sure you check out the website, www.thebigscoopwithcoop.com. Today, guys, my guest on the show, all I can say is wow. If you enjoy HBO, if you enjoy the shows that you're seeing on HBO, like a lot of people are, you're going to really enjoy this guest today. She's doing big things. She's actually have had her hand in the pot for seeing what you're seeing on HBO. So, guys, I just want to say you're going to really enjoy this show, so tell all your family, your friends, associates to tune in right now. But, you know, enough of me talking. I got to bring her on right now, the one, the only Kara Buckley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, anytime. Everybody, if you don't know who Miss Buckley is, she's actually part of the, am I correct, the original content for the HBO shows?
Yes, that's right. I'm a part of the original programming team, and I work on the drama side.
Nice. Very nice. Now, on this show, Ms. Buckley, just to let you know, we always talk about how you started in your career, your success, give advice on actually how to get into your career, and much more. But we always start from the beginning. So, Kara, when did you realize that you wanted to start working in the television industry?
You know, I went to a college where there was kind of a culture that people largely worked in finance if they could, and I had a really traumatic experience doing that the summer after my junior year because I just didn't like what I was working on. It wasn't for me. And so when I went back to school for my senior year, I was an English major, and I kind of thought about what I like to do, and reading, writing, kind of movies, TV, all that stuff was interesting to me. So when I was a senior, I got an internship at The Daily Show with Jon Stewart in New York, and I worked as a PA essentially, and I really loved it. And so kind of that experience, that internship, opened my eyes to the fact that like people do stuff like this full time for their jobs, and I ended up applying to a couple of talent agencies out in LA to see if I could get a job in the mailroom somewhere, and I ended up getting hired by William Morris Endeavor. So I moved out to LA. I began in the mailroom, and WME is in 2009, William Morris merged with Endeavor, and Endeavor was a boutique TV agency. So there's a really strong television department at the company, and when I was in the mailroom, that was something that people definitely talked about, just that the TV department was so great, and kind of the beating heart of the company was with the television department. So there was an opportunity to interview for a television agent's desk, and I got that job. I worked for the first guy I worked for, Alex Botnick, for 3 months, and then I had the opportunity to go work for Ari Greenberg, who runs the entire TV department, for about a year and a half. And then being at the agency, I loved it. I absolutely loved the company, but I definitely realized I didn't want to be an agent. Agents are kind of more the business end of show business, and I wanted to do something a little bit more steeped in the creative aspects of it. So I, with Ari's blessing and help, ended up getting a job at a company called Legendary, which was starting a television division. So it was the third hire in their TV department, and I came over as a kind of junior executive, and worked there for 2.5 years. Also had a really great experience. I think because it was such a small place, I got to have a lot more responsibility than I would probably have in a comparable position at a larger studio or network, and developed a couple shows there. I found a script that ended up being made into a pilot, which is kind of ultimately what helped me get promoted. And then this job opportunity at HBO opened up, and it was many months and rounds of interviews, but I started here February 8th, so I've been here like 3.5 months at HBO.
Wow. And, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and the thing is, with your career, it seems like you've had a lifelong career, and it seems like, you know, that it's the end, but you're actually still in the prime, and you're doing big things. And just listening to some of the people that you work with, I mean, it's amazing. That's what a lot of people would love to do, and it's like you're living a dream that a lot of people would love to do. So I do want to say congratulations to you, Kara.
Thank you.
You know, the accomplishments that you have done already.
Thank you. I feel very lucky.
Yes. Yes. Now, also at the same time, how did you feel as far as it goes, or how excited were you when you found out that you got the position at HBO?
I was very excited. I mean, it was about 6 months of interviews. I think I had 7 interviews. So it was a long process, and at some point when you're interviewing for that long a time, I think you start to kind of, it felt like something I was living with so long. It wasn't like I went in, had an interview, and got the job. So there was definitely an element of kind of disbelief when I got it. But I feel very honored. I mean, I think it's a real privilege to be able to work at a place that programs shows that I actually watch. So often people who work in entertainment, you know, you work somewhere and it might not be a place that program shows that you watch on your free time, but you try to make the best of it because it is still, you know, I think all jobs in development, if you're passionate about this type of work, are coveted and interesting, and so you kind of just try to find the best parts of it. So I was extremely excited, particularly because I grew up loving HBO shows, and I still watch HBO shows today, like on my free time. So I was definitely really happy.
Now, since you just mentioned that about, you know, watching HBO from growing up to now, is there in your eyes and other people's eyes, HBO, do you see a tremendous turnaround of HBO? I mean, for the positive, how the company is actually going, what they're doing, and everything.
Yeah, I would say, you know, when I started, about a week before I started, the person who was running HBO drama left the company. And so my first day was also the first day that my boss, Casey Boyce, who was running the comedy group, is now running both groups. And it was kind of his first day too. And I think one thing that might be a little bit different going forward that I'm really excited about is, like, he talks about how he would like to program stuff that's a little bit younger going forward, a little bit younger skewing, smart pop is a phrase that he likes to use, that, maybe in a year or two you might see some HBO shows that you wouldn't necessarily expect, which is to say maybe some kids in high school, maybe a show about some kids in college, something a little bit younger. So I think that will be different going forward. I think one thing that's consistent through, the many years since The Sopranos is I think HBO is synonymous with quality, which is why I know I'm drawn to watching the shows here and why so many other people are as well. I think the writers and the directors and the talent that are working here are not just the best in the TV industry, they're the best in entertainment, period. And we have novelists and journalists and, people from all different mediums of entertainment that work here. And so we're so lucky to, kind of work with the cream of the crop that is, the best artists of today. And that's something that I think has been true throughout the years and is still true now, which is great.
and I definitely agree with you on that, Kara, because if you look at the programming of what you all are showing within the last 3-4 years, it shows that you all are working with the cream of the crop. Because, as far as it goes for premium television, HBO is up there, and you can't find those shows anywhere else. I'm not counting DVDs or anything like that. But, you guys are actually originating stuff that you won't find anywhere else. And the numbers, speak for itself. You guys are blowing numbers out the water. For example, like Game of Thrones. That's ridiculous how the numbers are, the ratings are for that show. And, you guys are, like, pulling things in, and it's like you all are putting on steroids. And it's, like, really blowing up. So I just want to give a big shout-out to everyone that's working for HBO that's actually putting their hand in the pot to bring in these shows, because you guys are the greatest. So, Kara, make sure you tell everybody I said thank you.
I will. I can't take credit for the stuff that's on air right now, so I will happily relay that, and I completely agree with you. Game of Thrones is obviously awesome, and we all feel really lucky to be a part of all of these shows, for sure.
Oh, yes. Now, can you tell everybody that's listening worldwide right now what it's like on a day-to-day basis, being manager of television development for HBO? What is it like?
It sounds cliche, but 2 days are the same for sure. Our day basically consists of listening to pitches from writers, directors, which is to say they come in, they pitch us ideas that they would be good for a television show, and then we kind of discuss it with our group. We work on both development, which means shows that aren't on air yet, that are in the process of hopefully getting a pickup to pilot, which is, shooting the first episode as a kind of proof of concept. And when a show, like if a pitch sells to us or if we buy a script that an agent has sent in, it goes into development, which means that, we have a slate in drama. It's about 50 projects that we're working with writers usually, but sometimes writers and directors and sometimes talent too, to kind of develop their show. So if we bought a pitch, for example, we're overseeing them, take that pitch, put it on the page as an outline, and then as a first draft, second draft, third draft, and then ultimately it gets to the point where we decide if we want to move forward with making a pilot or not, and then that would be production of the first episode of the show, and then at that point you kind of see how a couple pilots turn out, and you pick maybe one or two to go to series. And we only program for Sunday night, so we have one hour from 9 to 10, and then 2 half hours from 10 to 10:30 to 11. And so we have our current shows on air. There'll be 2 executives working on each current show as well, which means part of that is reading the scripts for every episode, watching the cuts for every episode, discussing with the creators, the writers' rooms, kind of where a show might go and giving feedback. So it's a combination of hearing new stuff, working on things that are in development, and then working on shows that are currently on air. And then we have an enormous amount of reading, of course, which is a combination of original scripts that agents and managers submit to us for review for a potential sale, as well as just writing samples. So, sometimes we'll get a writing sample for someone that we just want to see if we want to meet with them generally, just to know about them. And sometimes we'll get samples that are basically like a version of a job application to go on the writing staff of a show that, is in its first, second, third, fourth, whatever season. So during the day, it's a lot of meetings and phone calls. At night, I read every night before I go to sleep, whether it's a script that's in development or a script that is a sample or something that's, episode 3 of season whatever of a show that's currently on air. So it's kind of a combination of things.
Nice. Now, besides for the people that actually, or the agents that come in and they actually, pitch it to you face to face, is there any other ways that you all, or any other sources that you all actually try to find, that hidden talented show that you all feel like it should be on HBO? Like, do you all look on YouTube or Vimeo or any other places like that to try to find your content?
We do. We read a lot of books. We have relationships with book agents who will slip us manuscripts before they're published, and we look for material in books. It can come from anywhere. We have a show called Westworld that's going to be coming out, and that's based on the Michael Crichton movie from the 70s. Shows based on podcasts, on newspaper articles, magazine articles, video games, whatever. It's coming from all different places. And as an executive, you can totally flag a source of IP, and then after we option the material, you can add a writer into it after the fact. So it isn't always writers that are coming in with ideas. Sometimes it happens the other way, where we have a concept or arena based on, let's say, a magazine article, and then we're looking for a writer to develop that project with.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Because, there's a lot of shows that's actually, that's out there that people are putting on YouTube and people are putting on Vimeo and all these other places, and I think a lot of people are actually trying to get found and they don't know how to do it. So, for people that's out there, actors, actresses, managers, directors, producers, guys, listen to Kara. She's giving y'all hints on how they actually try to find this stuff. So, guys, put out the premium stuff. If you're trying to get on to that next level, there's a shot. Just, get it out there. And don't give up on your own craft. That's what I want to say for anybody. Don't give
100%.
up.
I think agents and managers, so often look at YouTube and Vine and Instagram, Twitter, all these mediums to find talent now, for sure. So I think it's a great time to be an artist because you can put your stuff out there and let representatives find you or executives find you. For sure. Happens all the time. The time.
I definitely agree. Now, how hard is it for a person to get their content shown on HBO?
It's really hard. It's, I think for us in particular, we're only doing original programming on Sunday nights, one night a week. That's not many hours of TV a year. It's not many slots. And I think that's part of why the quality is so high, because we all put so much into making sure that the programming that we have is the best version that it can possibly be. But it's tough because we're not like a broadcast network, a CBS that, you know, can program every night of the week, and we're not Netflix where, you know, they don't have time slots. You know, they can buy as much as they want. So it's hard just in terms of real estate. I mean, there isn't that much space. And that's before you begin the conversation of just really how I think high quality a show has to be to get through the door here.
Right.
You know, a lot of times things go into development and they never actually become a television show. But what I will say is that, you know, as there are opportunities in places that you wouldn't, you know, necessarily realize from a first glance. You know, for example, Lena Dunham has a Cinderella, you know, an amazing story where she had a short film and she came here and she developed, and her show got on air, and now it's going 6 seasons. It's incredible.
Right.
But that's not typical. Most people, particularly television writers, spend years on staffs of other shows before they can, you know, go on to make their own. And it's great training, and maybe you don't have your own show on air for, I don't know, many years, but you're participating in creating someone else's show so that, you know, by the time you sort of have your shot, you have a lot of experience, like being on staff and stuff. So it is very difficult, but I think there are ways to write for an HBO show that, you know, it doesn't mean that you necessarily created it.
I see where you're coming from. Well, everybody that's listening worldwide, if you're, I mean, like I said before, if you want to give it a shot, I mean, know your craft, get it down pat, send it out there. I mean, there's a possibility you may be seen. So, guys, don't be discouraged out there. Just continue to try to do your best and see what actually happens from there. Now, your opinion, Kara, do you feel that Charles Dolan knew that HBO would get as huge as it is right now when he first started?
I don't think so. I mean, there was no way for him to know, really. I think not only HBO, but television in general is so often talked about as like pre and post Sopranos. You know, Sopranos really changed the way that people saw for the first time that TV could be just as good as movies, you know, or books, and that it wasn't kind of a lesser medium. I don't think he ever could have anticipated that would happen on, you know, his air. I think when HBO was originally founded, it was largely viewed as a platform for sports and, you know, movies, and they did this sort of experiment with The Sopranos, and it worked out absolutely beautifully to the extent that it's really changed ultimately the landscape of television in general.
Right.
But no, I don't think he could have known. I don't think so, but
and like I said, at least within the last 5 to 6 years, I mean, HBO has stepped up to another level than what HBO used to be. Now, when I'm saying that, I'm not saying that HBO was horrible, because you guys never were, because if you were, you wouldn't be in business where you're at right now. HBO would not be in business. So HBO is still one of the top level, you know, premiums that you can actually get. But I agree with you. I don't think there's no way that Charles Dolan would have known that these type of quality shows would have actually appeared on HBO. There's no way. And I think you all are shocking the world every year for the stuff that you all are bringing on. So once again, Kara, even though you said that, you know, with these current shows, you have really nothing to do with it, but at the same time, I say you do, because you're a part of this company. All of you all are like chained together. You're part of this company, and you guys are actually bringing in the cream of the crop. So I'm saying congratulations to you and everyone else, because without all of you all together, I mean, this couldn't have happened. And I think that you all are going to continue to grow too. So I'm going to be actually staying tuned to watch and see what exactly that you guys are going to do. So I'm a fan of HBO, just like the millions out here that's listening right now. So I just have to give that out to you. Now, since we're talking about these shows, Kara, what are your top 5 favorite shows, and I mean of all time, on HBO, that you can say, hey, it was in the past and I can rewatch it again, or it's showing now?
Well, my favorite show ever, HBO or otherwise, is The Wire. I'm not sure I've ever seen another television show or ever will see another TV show that is so really like important. I think, you know, the Russians, right, like David Simon, and I think, you know, maybe a couple of investigative journalists came out of journalism, but the way that he so completely explored the city of Baltimore and sort of the different facets of society and the institutions that we're forced to interact with was stunning and heartbreaking. And, you know, I actually studied it in my sophomore year of college. I took a class on The Wire, or that largely used The Wire as material in the class. And, you know, it sounds easy to say, but it was a show that really changed my life and was, you know, one of the most beautiful stories I've ever come across, including movies and books and everything. So for me, The Wire is kind of the ultimate. But I love The Sopranos. I love Game of Thrones. Girls, which I'm working on now, is I love Girls. Very spicy show. I love it. And I thought the first season of True Detective, which is, of course, an anthology series, was really fantastic as well. I know that's 5, but I think those are probably my top 5. I definitely kind of, as you can tell, tend towards drama more than comedy, but I love Silicon Valley and Veep as well. Yeah, I think those would be my top.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Now, I know in a few months there's going to be a film festival in Miami. I think HBO will actually be out there also. It's the American Black Festival. Do you know how many people will actually be representing HBO that's going to be out there?
You know, at least 4. It might be as many as like 10. I know that there'll be 3 people from the original programming team. I actually might be going. I'm not sure yet. But there'll be at least 3 people from just my team, and you know, there are only 11 people that work in original programming. I think there are like 2,400 people at the company, so it may be 20 people. I don't know, but at minimum, it will be like 4.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because I was actually in a series. It's called the Wicked series, and we actually shot 3 episodes already, getting ready for the 4th one. And I know my director, he's gonna be bringing it down there also for it to be shown around. So that's a great thing that HBO will be out there. You know, it's a chance for not just my director, but a lot of people to actually, you know, show off their work and their craft. So HBO and everyone else is going to be out there gets a chance to see everything. So that is a great thing. Yes. What is your ultimate goal in HBO?
I think my goal is to develop a show and get something on air that is meaningful to me, like a meaningful experience, and to most importantly work with great artists and support them in any way that I can. I think I mentioned I was an English major in college. I've always loved reading. I've always loved watching and reading stories, and that comes from the writers. And, with visual storytelling, it comes from writers and directors and actors. And I am doing this because I love hearing what these people have to say and what they come up with. And I would love to develop a meaningful or many meaningful relationships with artists and, be able to have sort of a collaborative experience. I think for me that would be the most fulfilling thing.
Nice. Now, is there a way that people that listen worldwide where they can actually, follow HBO or even find you on social media, to keep up with the latest and greatest and to see what's going on?
I'm embarrassed. I'm sure that HBO has Instagram account. I don't even know. I'm actually not a big user of social media, but follow HBO on Twitter, on Instagram. I know there are accounts, and as far as getting in touch with me, I think probably email is probably best. My work email is the best way, and I can give that to you after the show, or we can figure something out. But
right.
I think that's probably the best way to follow stuff.
Exactly. Okay, that is great. Now, I know you're a busy woman, Ms. Buckley, so I'm not going to hold you up much longer, but I do have one question that people worldwide want to know the answer to this. So, what advice would you give any male or female, that wants to get, you already talked about how to get your content on HBO, but they want to actually become part of the HBO family for like an employee or to work or to get into the television industry. What advice would you give anyone that wants to get into this industry?
I would say that starting out in entertainment it's tough. Almost everyone's an assistant before they're an executive or an agent or even a writer on a show. It's just the way it works, and it's not very glamorous. You're getting coffee, you're getting yelled at, you're taking out the trash, and that's the way that it those are the dues you have to pay. And I think it's easy to think that you're above that, especially if you, let's say, go to film school, which I didn't. But if you know stuff about the industry, I think it's hard to connect the dots as to how doing kind of seemingly unrelated work that is often not very intellectually stimulating, how that can possibly be related to what your ultimate goal is. And I think an important thing is to never be above taking out the trash and to never be above sort of the lowest level of work that you're asked to do, because everyone does it, almost everyone does it, who works in this industry, and that's how you got to go through that to get to the next level. And even though it is seemingly unrelated, I think you have to be very determined, you have to be humble, and you have to absorb information well to kind of make it through the ranks. And I guess that would be my biggest piece of advice, because I think a lot of people, who kind of come in with a big head, whether it's, I'm going to be a great director, I'm going to run a studio, I'm going to be an agent, like, there are a lot of steps that go between starting out and that ultimate goal, and I think it's important to work hard and have a good attitude.
I love it. Kara Buckley, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. People that's listening worldwide right now, take the advice that Kara just gave you. You know, this is a step that can point you, she pointed you in the right direction on actually how to get to your ultimate goal in this industry. Make sure you go on social media, follow HBO, Twitter, Instagram, follow them all. Everybody that's actually working on your skills, continue to do your best. And like Kara said, don't feel bad about starting from the lowest level because you got to take baby steps to get to that next level. So, Kara, I want to say thank you again, and I would love to have you back on the show again in the future.
I would love that too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, everybody, you have a great night. Until next time, everybody, I hope you enjoyed yourself on the Big Scoop with Coop.